Hi, this is Rudy Jones of PalmettoStateBaseball.com, and welcome to That Was the Week That Was in South Carolina College Baseball for April the 16th. Want to do a little wrap up of the things going on in the state involving college baseball for the past week, looking back at some of the games that went on and looking ahead a little bit to what's going to be going on this coming week. Most of my coverage is at PalmettoStateBaseball.com. I have a podcast that you can follow. The link is there. I usually put it out on Thursdays. My Twitter handle is Palmetto Base. I try to do this video update every Sunday night. It's a little bit later than normal this week because I just had a lot of stuff going on. Just doing what I can to try to promote the game of college baseball in the state of South Carolina. I do not charge anything for any of my coverage. I don't sell subscriptions. I'm not trying to sell some kind of magic potion or equipment that's going to make your son or daughter into a All-American player. I just want to promote the game of college baseball in the state of South Carolina. Let's look back at some of the things that went on earlier this week. On Monday, Coastal Carolina opened a series with Campbell. Both of the teams ranked in the top 20 in most of the national polls, and Coastal wound up getting a split of that series. They lost the Monday game, won the Tuesday game. Very good road win for the Chanticleers, and that will help their RPI played in games like that. On Tuesday, Clemson got a nice win at Georgia. Always good for the Tigers when they beat Georgia. I know it's a good rivalry, even though they don't play a couple of times a year in baseball. Also on Tuesday, College of Charleston got its first shutout of the year. They beat Charleston Southern. Wofford got a lopsided win over Presbyterian, and South Carolina got a win over USC Upstate. On Wednesday, North Greenville played Catawba, one of the better teams in the South Atlantic Conference, and North Greenville got a nice win there. That's a good resume builder for the Crusaders, even though they don't really need it. They're ranked number one in the nation in most of the NCAA Division IIs. Of course, the defending national champion in Division II, but still, that's a nice win. It'll look good on the resume as people go over the seedings and things like that. Also on Wednesday, Claflin snapped a 31-game losing streak to open the season with a 12-6 win over Payne. It's been a tough go for the Panthers so far this year. Scott Nestor's their first-year coach, but they got a nice win on Wednesday, and hopefully that'll lead to some better things for them as the season goes along. Well, how about what's going on this past weekend? Clemson got a nice series win over Notre Dame in the Atlantic Coast Conference. That's two straight ACC series wins for the Tigers. They lost the first game but won the last two. Also, before Saturday's game, they retired Jack Leggett's number 7 jersey. Number 7 was my favorite number growing up as a baseball fan. Not because of Mickey Mantle, but because of Rocky Colavito. Rocky was not one of the true all-time greats, but he was my favorite for whatever reason. I guess I just grew up at the right time to be that. And again, he wore number 7 and always liked the number 7. But good honor for Jack to be honored by Clemson. Probably didn't part ways with Clemson after his coaching career on the way that either side would have wanted, but it's good to see that Coach Eric Bakich has Jack back involved with the program now as a consultant. And that nice series win has the Tigers in 12th place overall in the ACC. That was nice because only the top 12 teams get to go to the ACC tournament. They need to keep on going on, but they got a big series coming up at NC State this coming weekend. One of the better Tigers over this past week was Billy Amick. In 4 games, he was 7 for 16 with 4 doubles, 2 homers, and 6 RBIs. And that 7 for 16 came despite the fact that he went 0-5 in the opener of the Notre Dame series. South Carolina went up to Vanderbilt and lost a series 2-1. If you'd have told a Gamecock fan before the weekend, said, hey, you're going to go up to Vanderbilt and you're going to win a game, a lot of them would probably have said, hey, that's not too bad. That's a tough place to play. But the way that South Carolina lost it probably frustrated some Carolina fans. They won Friday in pretty handy fashion, got off to a 4-0 lead on Saturday, and all of a sudden the defense fell apart. Gamecocks committed 4 errors in that game and gave up 5 unearned runs, wound up losing 8-5. Bad defense. On Sunday, the same type thing. Gamecocks take an early lead. Vanderbilt comes back to take the lead. Carolina ties it. And then once again, defense and pitching leads to some issues, and the Gamecocks wind up losing that game 3 of the series 6-4. Again, you tell them before the series that, hey, Carolina fans, you're going to win 1 or 2 at Vandy. you just said, eh. But, they probably came home, the players and coaches came home feeling they should have won at least two of those games, if not all three. But that's the way it is. Kind of interesting that the Gamecocks struggled on artificial turf at Nashville because, you usually say one of the advantages of artificial turf is you get a truer hop. But the Gamecocks just really struggled up there with that. One good thing for the Gamecocks was Ethan Petrie continued to play well. He hit 2 home runs in the series, 3 home runs for the week, and his home run on Sunday was his 18th of the season, and that broke a tie with him and Justin Smoke for the most home runs by a USC freshman in a season. So he's going on to having a great season. It'd be interesting to see how he goes on from here. Just having a really good year for the Gamecocks. He drove in 5 runs over the weekend, so that was a good week for him. College of Charleston got a nice sweep of Monmouth in the Colonial Athletic Association. Monmouth's one of the bottom dwellers, but those are the teams you're supposed to feast on, and so the Cougars did do that, won all 3. Luke Wood hit 4 home runs in that series, including 3 on Friday, so that was a nice win for the Cougars. Coastal Carolina got a series win at Old Dominion. They are now 1 game up. Pardon me as I'm reset up here. Coastal Carolina is now 1 game up on Louisiana and Southern Miss, and 2 games ahead of Old Dominion, Texas State in the Sun Belt Conference. Only 3 games separate the top 7 teams in that conference. That's really a good tight race there that's going on. But it was a good series win for Coastal, who won 2 out of 3. Wofford won 2 out of 3 at Western in Southern Conference play, and they are tied with Mercer now. Wofford is 1 game behind Samford. And guess who comes to Russell C. King Stadium on this coming weekend? That is Samford. So Wofford and Samford, this could go a long way toward determining who wins the regular season championship in the Southern Conference. The Citadel got a nice conference road series win at UNC Greensboro. They won the first 2 games and lost the last game 3-0. And oddly enough, in that last game, they got a great performance by Cameron Reeves. He struck out 9 batters, but again, he could not get any support and they got shut out. USC Upstate lost 2 of 3 at UNC Asheville in the Big South. They had a chance to keep up with Campbell or maybe even gain ground on the Campbells. The Campbells lost a game to Longwood, I believe it was, but they came back and won the last 2. And so right now, Upstate is 2.5 games behind Campbell in the Big South. Charleston Southern got a nice road sweep at Radford. They moved up into 4th place in the Big South. Winthrop won 2 of 3 against the state rival in PC. That was a good series that was going on there. Moving on to Division II, North Greenville has wrapped up the top seed for the Conference Carolinas tournament. They went 2-1 at Belmont Abbey over the weekend. Belmont Abbey is a good team, and they won the middle game of the series, but North Greenville has clinched at least a tie, and they won the tiebreaker with UNC Pembroke. North Greenville has this coming weekend off from conference play, so they're really 3 games up as far as having played that many games over UNC Pembroke. But a UNC Pembroke loss this coming weekend would give North Carolina the conference championship outright. Francis Marion and their streak reached 10 wins before they got beat by Barton on Saturday. They came back on Sunday to win to take that series 2-1. So the Patriots are playing better than they have been in a while, so that's good for them. Erskine was out of the conference this week and got a couple of wins at West Alabama. The one on Friday, then they won on Saturday in a game that was shortened because of rain. And game 2 of what was supposed to be a doubleheader on Saturday was rained out, canceled. So they came home with 2 wins in that road trip. Southern Wesleyan played at home against Mount Olive and got swept. Mount Olive's one of the better teams. In the South Atlantic Conference, it was a rarity going on for Newberry. They lost a conference series. They lost 2 of 3 to Wingate. Mitch Ferris, one of the better pitchers in NCAA Division II, shut out the Wolves on Friday night. Then Wingate won Saturday's first game before the Wolves came back to take the final game. They're in a tight race in the South Atlantic Conference. Newberry is still in first place. They're up 1 game over Lenoir-Rhyne, and also Wingate is tied for second with Lenoir-Rhyne. And Newberry's up 2 games on Catawba and 2 games on Carson Newman. This coming weekend, Newberry and Lenoir-Rhyne meet head-to-head in Hickory, and I guess you could call it the baseball version of the Bishop's Trophy. That's what the football teams play for each year, two Lutheran schools. But that will go a long way toward determining who wins the South Atlantic Conference. The SAC does close out its regular season, at least conference play, earlier than most of the other Division II schools, and that's what's going on this weekend. Limestone swept Emory and Henry over the past weekend. They have now won 6 straight conference games. Anderson got a series sweep of Mars Hill this weekend, and they've won 5 straight in the conference. And Coach P.J. Zaki's team is now 22-22, even their record at 500 for the season. Coker had a bye this weekend. Odd number of teams in the South Atlantic Conference. That's just the way it turned out. In the Peach Belt Conference, it's been a struggle for USC Aiken lately. They lost 2 out of 3 to Georgia Southwestern, and they've now fallen a game and a half behind Young Harris College in the Peach Belt Conference standings. Young Harris scored 58 runs in winning 3 games at USC Beaufort over the weekend. USC Beaufort has now lost 10 straight games. Lander went 1-2 in 3 tight games at Flagler. They were all 3 one-run games, very low-scoring games. Excuse me, the last game was not a one-run game, but they were all very close games that were going on with that. Claflin, of course, they are winless in the conference. They were ahead 5-4 in the 9th inning of the second game of Saturday's doubleheader, and a player for Georgia College hit a 3-run homer, and Claflin wound up losing that game 7-5. Heartbreaker for them. I know they were hoping to get a second win in this week and also a first conference win of the season, but it was not to be. Columbia International in the Appalachian Athletic Conference swept Kentucky Christian. That was a nice win for them in the NAIA League. Benedict won 2 of 3 in the Southern Intercollegiate Athletic Association at Tuskegee. Good win for the Tigers. They put up a lot of offense in that series. Morris went 2-2 for the week, including a series split with Payne. Voorhees has lost its last 6 games. They went 0-4 this past week. They gave up 32 runs to NAIA power Georgia Gwinnett in a Saturday night loss, 32-4. It was a Continental Athletic Conference tournament in Lawrenceville, Georgia. The Continental Athletic Conference is basically a loosely based group of independents, and they helped them to play a schedule, help with the scheduling issues that are going on with that. But again, the Voorhees gave up 32 in that game. Georgia Gwinnett's been one of the better teams in NAIA for about the last 7 or 8 years. Bob Jones has now lost 8 straight games. They got swept at Toccoa Falls over the weekend. They're now 3-24 in the league. In National Collegiate Junior College Athletic Association, I said that wrong. NJCAA, pardon me about that. In Region 10, Florence Darlington Tech had won its first 17 games going into Sunday's doubleheader at USC Union. And would you believe it? USC Union beat them twice, both times by 5-4 scores. Trent Turner homered in each game of Sunday's doubleheader, and he also homered once on Saturday. The Bantams, I named them my team of the week for this deal. They did something twice in one day that nobody else had done all year. FD Tech had been 17-0 in the region and also 17 straight games overall going into Sunday's game. They're now still 40-7, so there's nothing. They're not struggling by any means. However, those 2 losses did tighten up the region race a lot. Gaston College out of Gastonia is now 1.5 games behind Florence Darlington Tech going into the last weekend of region play. And guess who plays each other this coming weekend? That's right. Florence Darlington Tech has a 4-game home series against Gaston College. The Stingers need to win at least 2 to be assured of taking the regular season championship and the top seed for the tournament coming up later this year. Spartanburg Methodist had a 5-1 week, including 3 wins in a 4-game series against USC Sumter. And USC Salkehatchie doubled its win total for the season with a couple of wins over USC Lancaster during a 4-game series split. Let's look ahead a little bit to what's going on this coming week. Georgia and Clemson play again this Tuesday at Doug Kingsmore Stadium in Clemson. Tigers going for a series sweep. Also on Tuesday, Wofford is at Winthrop. Charleston Southern is at South Carolina. Coastal Carolina plays host to College Charleston. That'll be a nice one. On the Division II level, Francis Marion is at Lander and Erskine is at Wingate. Wingate, again, is one of the better Division II teams. On Wednesday, Claflin has a chance to maybe get a series sweep of Payne. They're playing them in Augusta. Southern Wesleyan is at USC Aiken, and College of Charleston goes across town to play the Citadel over at the Joe. On Thursday, South Carolina starts a 3-game home series with Florida. The Gamecocks are a half game behind Florida in the SEC East, and they're now a game and a half behind, 2.5 games, I believe, behind Vanderbilt. I'd have to look back at that, but I think that's correct. Florida does a lot of the same things that Vanderbilt does. They put the pressure on you until you crack, and then just once you crack, they just take advantage of it. One thing they do, maybe more than Vandy, is hit the home run ball. So there could be a lot of balls flying out of Founders Park this coming weekend, Thursday, Friday, Saturday series again, as Florida plays host to South Carolina, or Florida visits South Carolina. Among the other series going on this coming weekend, the Southern Miss is at Coastal Carolina in a nice series involving the Sunbelt teams. North Greenville, as I mentioned, is idle this weekend, so they do not play. They can wrap up the Conference Carolinas Championship just by staying at home. I named USC Union as my team of the week for this past week because they only went 3-3, but getting those 2 wins over Florence Darlington Tech was a real nice deal for Coach Michael Stansel's squad. They've got a losing record, but still, you knock off Florence Darlington Tech, they got something on their resume that nobody else in the region has done yet so far. My team rankings stay pretty much the same on most of the levels. In NCAA Division I, I've got South Carolina as number 1, Clemson 2, Coastal Carolina 3, Wofford 4, College of Charleston 5, and USC Upstate 6. I moved College of Charleston past USC Upstate after the Cougars swept and Upstate lost 2 of 3. I also moved the Citadel up a spot because of their nice road series win, as well as Charleston Southern moving up. Winthrop I moved up 1 spot because they beat Presbyterian. That dropped Presbyterian down. In NCAA Division II, not much change at the top. Again, the top 5, 6, 7 to stay the same. North Greenville, Newberry, USC Aiken, Erskine, Francis Marion, Anderson, Lander, all the same as last week. I moved Limestone up because Coach Brett Harker's team is playing better. They, like I say, have won 6 straight in the South Atlantic Conference, and they have now won 18 games this season. That's a lot better than the 4 games they won last year. So things are looking up over in Gaffney. Following Limestone, I've got Coker, Benedict, Southern Wesleyan, USC Beaufort, and Claflin. And Benedict, I moved up a couple spots because they've been playing well lately. In the NJCAA ranks, Florence Darlington Tech stayed the same as number 1. I moved Spartanburg Methodist 1 spot up over USC Sumter, followed by USC Lancaster, USC Union, USC Salkehatchie. Among schools in the NAIA, NCAA Division III, or National Christian College Athletic Association, I've got Columbia International still number 1. They went 3-1 last week overall. Morris have got second, followed by Voorhees and Bob Jones. I tell you one little thing I was thinking about, a little bonus, thinking about the fact that I wish that the South Atlantic Conference had not lined up with Flow Sports for its baseball package. I really enjoyed being able to watch South Atlantic Conference games for free. I know the league is looking for any kind of revenue they can get to help support their programs and publicize baseball, but I really enjoyed the free telecasts they had in the past. For me, paying $30 a month to get Flow Baseball to see South Atlantic Conference games and College of Charleston games isn't worth it when you look at it compared to the ESPN, where you get hundreds and hundreds of events for about $10 a month. Again, if they can make money off of it, more power to them. I hope at some point they'll be able to do it. One thing that I do enjoy about the video cast is sometimes you can play them on the car as you're driving around, listen to the audio and see what's going on with that. I've done that a couple of times, and really Sunday night, that's kind of what made me talk about this, is I was hopeful of being able to follow Anderson and Mars Hill in that series finale as I was out running some errands Sunday night after church, but it just didn't work out that way. But again, that's what it is. It's still a lot better than the olden days of when I was a kid. You had to wait until the next day's newspaper to find out what the college baseball scores now are. I'm hoping that the services I provide at PalmettoStateBaseball.com do provide folks a chance to get some information earlier than having to wait for the newspaper or even the 11 o'clock sports as it goes on. Again, this is part of my coverage of South Carolina College baseball at PalmettoStateBaseball.com. I hope you will comment on my stories, send me emails, follow me on Twitter. share information about my podcast, this video cast, and other coverage I have with other fans who may be supporters and fans of college baseball in South Carolina. Not doing it for any kind of income. I'm making very little money in the advertising that shows up on the website. It's more of just a hobby and a passion that I want to do to help give recognition to players on all levels of college baseball in South Carolina. Again, my website is PalmettoStateBaseball.com. My email address is rudyjones@PalmettoStateBaseball.com. My Twitter handle is PalmettoBase. Hope to talk to you again next week. Be looking for my podcast to come out around Thursday. If you have any questions, contact me. Have any suggestions, contact me. Have any criticisms, contact me. I want to hear from you. I want to know if you're following what I'm doing or not. But for now, this is Rudy Jones signing off, saying nothing could be finer than college baseball in South Carolina. Have a great night. God bless you.